Ooh. Alrighty. Love your bicycle, it'll serve you well. Everybody was always talking about Woodstock. One of the band members' mother was from Tanglewood, which is a housing development near Woodstock. We came up here to rehearse in their house. And,
this bicycle is about done. Let's go through the gears.
I walked down Tannery Brook Road about 11 o'clock at night, got totally lost because there were no street lights. And I wound up somewhere on Ohio Mountain. And I spent a good part of the night trying to find my way back to town. And I said to myself, when I get the chance, this is it. I was looking for the allegorical garden that Thoreau talked about.
Excellent.
The kind of garden that didn't have an end, and it was much more serene and glamorous, much more magnificent than any garden ever made. Created.
One tuned-up bike.
Just, you're spending your time in a virtual paradise, and you can't become jaded. That's why I haven't left. So, I moved more toward art school and music, played music in college, got a degree in art, and as far as I can see, there was really no conflict with my father, who was a general in the Army, because he was an artist and a musician in his own right. I think he was really happy that I had seen a different light, a different direction than my two brothers. When I came here, I had about 3 dozen guitars, very more or less rare guitars, acoustic and electric. I remember the people who wanted them, and I just wrote to them, and I said, it's available if you want it. And I gave them away, and I sold them. I started collecting bicycles. I gave them all away. When I collected all the windows and doors for this house, I couldn't give them away. Nobody wanted them, so I built the house. Then I had this house, and I felt a need to get more away from a hermit lifestyle, so I sold it to the first person who showed an interest in it. I guess I spend most of my money eating now, which is about $300 a month, which is, to me, a lot of money, but it's worth it because that's my whole social life. I've never asked myself any questions about the future, and because it seems to come to me moment by moment rather than in large lumps, like 10 or 20 years at a time. I can't think that far ahead, so. Building this house was strictly a whimsical thing, a classic version of a person having an idea and setting about doing it without any thought about falling off the roof or hitting my hand or can I afford it. I just had what I had and looked around for the cheapest way of doing it. And you still can do it today. I go to the dump twice a week, and I get old bicycles for what is going to be my business in the next 10 or 20 years is building bicycles from dump bicycles and selling them. It's a hard lifestyle, but we have people who pick brass, people who take apart the aluminum windows and sell the aluminum. Rather than contributing to the mega steel industry, I feel I'm taking away from it in a good way, you know, reusing it. And I started looking around for my own place to build a church. I was heavily involved in the world of religion, but it involved East and West. I was reading books on Zen and as well as practicing the old Catholic tradition. I wanted to build a little chapel. So I came and I met this man on Glasgow Turnpike here who had this land for sale, had a barn on it. I had enough money to buy 3 of the acres on the edge right here. And I set about building what I thought a house was, which came from my memories as a child of seeing a picture in a magazine of a Tudor French gatehouse by a bridge. It looked pretty much like this, had a tower. The man sat in the tower and worked the bridge, the old bridge, which was raised and lowered by a team of mules, and I read all about it. And I wanted to build something that was very archetypical of useful architecture, and I was going to use it as a church. However, I got more and more away from the church as I got involved with worldly life down here, and I finally got back into music about 1979 or 1980. But in those 3 years, I spent the summers out here when it was warm, just with a hammer and a saw and a drill, just carving each little piece and putting it on. It took a long time, very slow, but I had no deadline. I remember how my father put things together, and he always measured very carefully, so I just remembered that, measured very carefully, and it really helped avoid a lot of time wasted. Everything about a house I had never done before, so everything was the first time. So I spent about $1,100 on materials for this house, all total. I figured it was about $1,100. The well cost $700, almost as much as the house. And $50 for nails and screws and whatever and hinges. So you have a house for $1,200. You know,